Pope Francis, the beloved spiritual leader who transformed the face of the Catholic Church, met his final hour not with fear, but with grace, humility, and unwavering faith. His passing shocked millions, yet within those last precious moments, he left a legacy that would ripple across the world for generations. This is the story of Pope Francis' final hour, a story of farewell, hope, and eternal faith. In the heart of the Vatican, beneath the soaring dome of St. Peter's Basilica, a farewell unlike any other began. The massive bells that once rang to celebrate milestones now told a slow, mournful rhythm. The basilica was filled not with crowds, but with silence, a silence so profound it seemed that even the stones themselves wept. It was here, surrounded by the sacred beauty he cherished, that Pope Francis gave his last earthly blessings to those closest to him. Bishops, cardinals, aides, all gathered in hushed reverence as the Holy Father, weakened but peaceful, lifted his trembling hand and offered his final blessing. No grand ceremony, no fanfare, only profound love and a simple act of faith. Hours before his passing, Pope Francis insisted on addressing the faithful one last time. Though frail, his voice carried strength, delivering a short but powerful message broadcast from a small chapel within Vatican City. Love without borders, forgive without hesitation, serve without seeking reward. Trust in God's plan even when you cannot see the way. These words would be remembered not just as a sermon, but as a final instruction, a divine roadmap for a world grappling with doubt, conflict, and despair. Those who spent time with Pope Francis during his final hours were struck by the profound calm that surrounded him. It was as if he had already glimpsed the kingdom he spent his life preaching about. Even the doctors and aides noticed it. His breathing was slow, steady, almost meditative. His face carried a slight smile. It was a stark contrast to the urgency and anxiety that typically accompany such moments. In that calmness, many felt the tangible presence of the divine. In one last surprising move, just hours before slipping into unconsciousness, Pope Francis requested a brief written message be sent to the world. It was a plea for peace. Lay down your weapons, heal the broken, lift the weary, be brothers and sisters once more. This final appeal wasn't directed just at Catholics, it was for all humanity. Leaders across nations, regardless of faith, later quoted his words as a timeless call for unity. Inside the Vatican, the atmosphere was tense yet sacred. Security had quietly tightened, and a small circle of trusted advisors managed the delicate balance between keeping the news contained and preparing for the inevitable announcement. Phone calls were hushed, messages were coded. A secret plan, long prepared but never before enacted, was quietly set into motion. The Vatican's sacred protocol of transition. That final night, Pope Francis requested to be left alone in prayer. Aides lit candles around the simple, modest room. He held tightly to a small wooden crucifix and a well-worn rosary given to him decades earlier when he first took his vows. Through the night, the Pope prayed for the Church, for the poor, and for those who had no one to pray for them. Witnesses said he appeared to be having conversations, quietly whispering as if speaking directly to the angels and saints. Throughout those private hours, memories flooded Pope Francis' mind. His childhood in Buenos Aires, his calling to priesthood, the countless lives he had touched. He reflected on the burdens he had carried, the criticisms, the political battles, the divisions within the church, and he offered it all up to God one last time. Before sunrise, he was heard whispering, "Into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit." As dawn approached, Pope Francis' condition worsened. He was surrounded once again by his closest confidants. A simple but beautiful chant of Ave Maria filled the room. At 6:44 a.m., with the soft light of morning breaking over St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis took his last breath. His face remained serene, his body seemingly untouched by the struggles of his final illness. The Church had lost its shepherd, but heaven had gained another saint. After his death, Vatican officials revealed that Pope Francis had left behind a series of handwritten letters, personal messages to the faithful, stored in a simple wooden box marked only with a cross. In these letters, he addressed themes of humility, forgiveness, and hope, offering advice for the future leadership of the Church and encouragement to the faithful. One striking line read, "Never fear the storms of life, for every storm brings the rain that makes faith bloom." As is often the case when great leaders pass, rumors swirled. Some claimed Pope Francis foresaw the exact timing of his death. Others whispered that he had quietly designated a successor, breaking with centuries of tradition. The Vatican, maintaining its characteristic silence, neither confirmed nor denied these tales. Perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain between God and his servant. Pope Francis, who had spent his life breaking boundaries, broke tradition even in death. He had requested a simple funeral, no grand state ceremonies, no political speeches, just prayers, hymns, and the love of the faithful. His coffin was made of simple wood, in sharp contrast to the ornate sarcophagia of past popes. Despite his wishes for simplicity, the funeral itself became an overwhelming outpouring of love. Millions gathered across the globe, from St. Peter's Square to the slums of Buenos Aires, to honor the man who had given hope to so many. Even leaders of rival faiths sent tributes, recognizing Pope Francis not just as a Catholic leader, but as a global voice for humanity. From Europe to Africa, Asia to the Americas, the world wept. Cathedrals overflowed with mourners. Streets were lined with candles and flowers. Social media became a sea of prayerful tributes. Many non-believers too shared messages of respect, touched by a man whose faith transcended dogma and reached into the very heart of human compassion. In the days following his passing, strange occurrences were reported. In one small Italian village, a statue of the Virgin Mary reportedly wept tears on the day of his funeral. In Buenos Aires, a homeless shelter founded in his honor claimed that a terminally ill child was miraculously healed. The Vatican began quiet investigations, but for many, no explanation was needed. It was simply a sign that the Holy Spirit had touched the life and death of Pope Francis in profound ways. Pope Francis's last hour wasn't just a moment in history. It was a beginning. His final messages continued to echo through homilies, teachings, and the lives of those he touched. He showed a broken world that mercy is stronger than judgment, that love is stronger than hate, and that faith can move mountains. His last words, "Love without borders," are now etched in history, not just in stone, but in the hearts of millions. Though his earthly journey ended, his spirit marches on in every act of compassion, every prayer for peace, and every hand extended to help another. Pope Francis lived not for glory, but for service. And in his final hour, he gave the world its greatest sermon, not in words alone, but through the way he met death with courage, dignity, and unwavering love. May we all strive to carry his light forward,